Global warming is real. Why is it real? Because equatorial deforestation, cutting down the trees near the equator. Secondly, why is it real? And why is it mankind problem created by? Because of coal and burning of fuel. Think about it, folks. What did Viktor Schauberger say? Well, to sum it up, what he's saying is, think about it. Aliens, they don't use freaking combustion engines. That's the whole crux of the issue, is the energy situation. People don't know that the water on our planet and on all planets, water is an organism that's living, and it lives by certain properties. The water is the reason trees live the way they do. The water itself has life in it. It needs certain patterns of function, just like every organism that's based on water. And Viktor Schauberger explains it in a theosophical kind of way, like mixing science with religion or spirituality. So it's not just one thing. So politics cannot explain it because they're going to use the paradigms we've been stuck with, mechanical science or spirituality without science, just belief. So global warming will probably be used by the politicians and stuff, so some people won't believe it. They can't explain it. I never hear anyone recommend Viktor Schauberger. Like, oh, Viktor Schauberger explains global warming in a way that's mystical yet provable, and it's kind of like he's from the future, like he could be from another planet, like advanced form of human race. He wasn't political, so he just mystically, or whatever you would say, clairvoyantly looked into science deeper than anyone really, and he understood water. He could actually understand that these canals that are being dredged are dredged in a straight line on the edges, and the water needs flow patterns because it's a living being. So they think, oh, if you think water's a living being, you're like a new agey, freaky freak person. So every tree that's cut down, and more so, every tree in the world that's cut down has an effect, but the most effect is around the equator, because that's the heart of the whole system of the planet's water. So the water flows through the earth, and it mineralizes under the earth, and then it goes up into the sky, and it has a life cycle that gives life and temperature regulation. Temperature, Viktor Schauberger explains it, so other people don't have to do the research. He explains that there's a temperature gradient that's really, really precise in water. And if it's outside of this gradient, which the slightest amount of constant heat, which when there's not enough ground cover from trees, for one, it increases the temperature in the ground. So when the temperature in the ground's increased, the water can't properly assimilate into the earth, and then what happens is there's more rain, and then what happens is when there's no trees, they absorb a lot of the water and the temperature gradient, and it all works together. So when they're burning things, it burns up oxygen, and that has another effect. So we're not supposed to burn oxygen. We're not supposed to do that. And we all know the powers that be will not allow us at this point, without severe conflict, to change the energy systems on the planet. So it's a pollution planet. So what they're going to have is, down the road, as things get worse and worse and worse, they're not going to change the energy systems because it's all based on the capitalistic, monotheistic society that we've been, sanctioned into for how long? Since 2,000 years at least of Roman times. And maybe it goes a little further back. So, the temperature gradient is off, and then it causes flooding because the water won't do its natural course through the ground, back up through the trees, and into the air in a proper manner, in a proper time, in a natural living organism. So when you're burning fuel, coal especially, where it's deforested to get to, a lot of it in the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, then that's basically what's happened with global warming. And then there's people that blindly say it's false because the politicians have deceived the people, and their viewpoint of the world is just loosely been pieced together from false things anyway. They've never been exposed to actual living science like Viktor Schauberger tried to expose the world to, but he's only been understood by maybe 1% of the population, probably less than that. So it's just frustrating to me that global warming is either considered a hoax, which is absolutely absurd, but I understand because of politics, people have felt kind of pigeonholed into believing things and stuff, or they're just Christian minded and they think that the world is basically according to the Bible or something. But I mean, I'm not really going to ridicule that because there's no point in ridiculing that. That's not going to get anywhere, obviously. So the global warming is deforestation. So if they were to plant people that are in power to do so, or at least to try to do so, but really it's common people like me and you and everyone else that's doing anything, but there's people in power that have made choices over, they've accepted money and power over soul and eternity for the earth. So we're going to head into a pollution scenario, long after this generation is passed. We won't physically be here per se, but basically that kind of wraps it up. I mean, if you get the Viktor Schauberger material and really spend a couple days or so reading, it's totally enlightening material, and it explains 100% what's happened with the energy and the water, the trees, how it all works, and why we shouldn't be burning oxygen. One vehicle, one car of use burns up 100 acres worth of oxygenated energy and it affects the water flow, and then we get the pollution scenario. So that's what's causing poverty too. Everything goes to this whole combustion energy scenario. The combustion energy and the deforestation scenario is 100% behind an abnormal increase in air pollution and floods, and subsequently the polar caps melting. It's all explained by Viktor Schauberger, the messiah of clean air, water, and energy. He understood how water has a natural flow, energy pattern to it, so there's so much more details in that. I feel like I can't explain it all. I look kind of like a pile of dog dookie, but this has been rough, so thanks